Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah.
Melanated!
Welcome to this episode of Morning Tea, where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. Today's tea is iced Gypsy Rose Tea by the Mountain Witch Tea Company. Ever since I started this plant-based diet and started taking iron pills, I no longer crave crunching ice, and I don't crave tea anymore, so I'm just drinking this for y'all. When I did my Shea Moisture video, a lot of people commented on the fact that I was doing laundry, and since I have a bed full of laundry, I figured I would do it in this video as well. So I'm into that if you're into it, you know what I'm saying? Here's the tea. Girl. So I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but Monique, that's Mo''Neek. When you are in a movie, right? So it's part of your contract to tweet or to promote the show or the movie. Let me be clear. This is why we haven't seen Monique on a lot of things, because she feels that she was blackballed by Lee Daniels because she refused to go on the road and do the promoting that she was supposed to do for Precious. She said that at the time she had to pay more attention to her family and that she wasn't going to go on the road and do these things. And if, as you guys may or may not know, her husband is her manager. And so I guess her husband manager agreed on that move. Lee Daniel blackballed her. And when she won the Oscar, which I guess nobody really expected her to win, she didn't thank Lee Daniels in that, and so that was a little bit of a controversy. So apparently she's back on the road and she had a show, a comedy show, and in her comedy show, she said that if she had a dick, that Oprah, Tyler Perry, and Lee Daniels could suck it. I'm like, that's a trifecta, girl. You are going to war. Why did I throw in Stan Lathan at it while she was at it? Maybe Ava DuVernay is going to put her in something, but you know Ava DuVernay and Oprah, they homies, right? They in New Zealand filming A Wrinkle in Time right now, or at least they were. Okay, girl, do what you gotta do. Keep your integrity. Keep your integrity. I hope your integrity can pay your bills. Ooh, here's the tea. So this is something that's fun and exciting. So Basquiat was, I don't know if you guys seen that movie Basquiat with Jeffrey Wright, but Basquiat was an American painter. He was half Puerto Rican, half Haitian, New York City, underground painter. And one of his paintings sold for $110 million. Bought by a Japanese billionaire. He is apparently a tech tycoon, a rock star, and a fashion designer. You know, rich people can do whatever they want to do. It's the most expensive or the highest price ever sold for an American artist, but also that artist is black. So Jean-Michel Basquiat, you guys, this shirt is so wrinkled, girl. Oh, and it's messing up my lighting. Look at that. Look how white messes up my lighting because it focuses on that. Racist? It's so wrinkled, so I don't know when I'm gonna wear that again because, like, I don't want to iron anything. And it's a beautiful painting. I don't know if you've ever seen Basquiat, but it's like colorful and violent and eccentric. But I find his work to be far more, I can feel it more, you know what I'm saying? I understand it. So let's talk about the 45th, just so we can get this over with. There's a couple things happening with him. Here's the tea. So last week I reported on his situation with Comey, how he fired FBI Director Comey, how the 45th also had meetings with Russia recently. He brought the Russian ambassador into the Oval Office and had Russian newspapers in the Oval Office, but didn't invite any American news media into the Oval Office. And it was said that he actually told the Russian ambassador some things that many people feel like he shouldn't have said. I try to be unbiased, and I know I'm biased, so I really can't talk about it in a way that's gonna, like, not be unbiased. So anyways, this whole situation with Trump that's happening right now, there's talks of impeachment, and he's saying that it's a witch hunt. Trump is saying he went to Twitter again to tweet something about it being a witch hunt and all of it's unfounded and everyone's trying to come after him. Of course they're trying to come after you. A witch hunt? You mean like asking a president to prove his citizenship by producing a birth certificate? You know, when chickens come home to roost, boy, it's hard, isn't it? The president is right now in Saudi Arabia at a summit. There are 55 representatives from Arab and Muslim countries in the Middle East, and they're just trying to have talks about what's going to happen with ISIS. Peoples of the Arab world or people of the Muslim world are feeling some sort of way with this Muslim ban, so he has to go over there and make it seem like, no, I don't hate the Muslims, I just hate the terrorists. And so they're just having talks, and actually what he said was kind of poignant, and I wanted to read it for you guys so you guys can just get what he said. King Salman of Saudi Arabia was the first to address the summit, telling the gathering that Islam provided an example of coexistence and will always be the religion of mercy and coexistence. Trump said, "This is a battle between barbaric criminals who seek to obliterate human life and decent people of all religions who seek to protect it. This is a battle between good and evil." I mean, I don't like good and evil. I just feel like it's extra. He added that the U.S. was prepared to stand with those leaders in a fight against extremists, but that those countries should take a lead in urging them to drive extremists out of your place of worship. Drive them out of your community, drive them out of your holy land. America is prepared to stand with you, but the nations of the Middle East cannot wait for American powers to crush the enemy for them. Which I agree. And obviously somebody else wrote this, right? Because this is not Trump's word. He doesn't speak this way. But I agree with that statement. I agree that the Middle East needs to take a bigger hand in getting their people together and stopping the terrorists that are doing whatever, because it's happening in their area. And I think if we had terrorists on this continent, then we would be responsible to rooting them out and figuring it out. And I think the Arab nations need to do that. Also some like trade situation, like some arms deal that happened with the military and like some helicopters. I didn't really read into it, but you all know that Ivanka Trump's husband is an advisor and he was the one who did the deal. He did the deal with the Saudi Arabian companies or whatever. That's how I imagine it happening over there. It's just a bunch of idiots. And this is his first time out of the country as the president. So we'll see how it goes. Melania went with him just looking scared and frightened. You know what I'm saying? She just looks like she does not belong. A fish out of water. And they're trying so hard to make her like the fashion model. Like, I wonder what websites or like what community is like, ooh, what did Melania wear today? They're trying so hard to make her like Melania Trump, First Lady. And I'm not buying it. I just want her to go somewhere and sit down and be with her son. Like, she doesn't want to be there and I don't want her to be there either. So now let's talk about all of these colleges who are doing exactly what they want. Here's the tea. There's 3 universities I'm going to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about is Harvard. Okay, so some students of Harvard have decided that they're going to have their own commencement ceremony. And it's Black students, but anyone is invited to this commencement ceremony. There is a Latino graduation that started in 2015, and there is a Lavender graduation, which acknowledges LGBT communities. And so many people are trying to say, many people who are not a minority would like to say that, oh, that's racist. That separate but equal idea is racist. Look, separate but equal is racist when the majority pushes out the minority. It's not racist when the minority extracts themselves from the majority, right? Because what's happening is that when you have, and this is a great analogy that a professor made, when you have a sea of salt and then you have some black pepper sprinkled in, sometimes the black pepper doesn't get acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the minority doesn't get acknowledged because there's such a small group. And so when they would like to branch out and separate and have their own commencement so that their achievements are being honored and talked about, and faculty is being honored and students are being honored, then what is wrong with that? Like, I don't get it. If you want to come to the commencement, come to it. Like, no one's saying you can't, it's Black only, you know, it's about the fact that, you know, minorities don't get represented when the majority is taking over, and they should be allowed to separate and do as they wish, like celebrate in their own way. Why not? It's so silly. So let me know what you guys think about that, because people have like, oh, it's segregation. Like, I'm sorry, you don't get to tell people who are segregated for years. You don't get to tell them what segregation is. Let people live their lives and be happy and be comfortable in their commencement ceremony, because you don't know how it feels to be other. Okay, so the next thing that's happening on college campuses, there was a walkout at the commencement at Notre Dame because of Mike Pence. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Mike Pence was the governor of Indiana. Notre Dame is in Indiana. So they invited the vice president to come and speak at the commencement ceremony for 2017 graduates of Notre Dame. And about 75 to 100 students walked out. Now, this was planned and everybody knew they were going to walk out. The total amount of students graduating was about 3,100. And so these 75 to 100 students got up during Mike Pence and walked out, as is their right to do. And the reason why they walked out and the reason why it was organized was because Mike Pence, as the governor of Indiana, put into play a lot of policies and whatnot, and as the vice president actually, put into play a lot of policies that hurt marginalized people, right? And Notre Dame being a Catholic school, a Catholic college, they feel like one of the bases of Catholicism is to give to those in need, give to the vulnerable. be benevolent and humble yourself to those who can't. And so when you have policies that are put into play that directly affect, those people who are marginalized, those people who are vulnerable, you don't feel like your country or your governor or your state is with you. Then let's move on to the Cookman Bethune or Bethune-Cookman. I'm not sure what the name is, girl. I said it wrong. At their commencement, 2017 commencement. Now, if you don't know that college is a historically Black college, so they had Betsy DeVos come. Like, I get it that their chancellor or whoever their dean or whoever the person is that went to the White House and met with President Trump. I think what's happening is that HBCUs don't get much funding from the government, and so they have to kind of show and save face and show up and be present in order to try to get funding. And so the students walking out, their dean or whoever it was, president, I don't know who it was, it says something to them, felt that it was disrespectful, and it is disrespectful. He has to do his job, so he has to make attempts to save face and do what he has to do to try to get funding for his school. That's what I'm assuming he's doing. But I think that the students had a right to stand up and turn their back on Betsy DeVos. They should have known that something like this would happen, and to sit there and reprimand. Because he actually got to the mic after the students started to walk away and was like, those of you who are behaving this way can have your diplomas mailed to you. I'm like, sir, really? For real? Don't mail me my shit then. Like, what? You're not going to tell me at my commencement that I'm going to have my shit mailed to me because you invited somebody that didn't nobody want. Pause. I'm going to have to iron all these shirts. Like, this is just the truth because I won't wear not a second of them. Here's the tea. The Turkish president came to the United States and he was at the Turkish embassy in DC, and there were some Americans who came to protest him being there because apparently he's a douche canoe. He sent his bodyguards out to attack those peaceful protesters. I'm just trying to figure out why the Republicans aren't flipping their lids over this. Apparently, finally, John McCain, who I had been calling for John McCain to come out and do something, finally said this is disgraceful. We need to act. We need to do something. Because they have diplomatic immunity, right? And the thing is that you have to tread very, very lightly. But something needs to be done, and something public needs to be done. Because if Americans are protesting, which is their right to do, that foreign diplomat has no right to send their people to attack Americans on American soil. Something needs to be done. And Rex Tillerson, who is the Secretary of State, he is saying, oh, we have to review the tapes. Review the tapes! Everybody in America on Facebook has reviewed tapes, and we see that the Turkish bodyguards, something needs to be happening. They need to be deported or something. There needs to be something. They need to pay for those people who are in the hospital, who lost teeth, who got beat up. I think it's egregious and abhorrent. Here's the tea. Okay, here's some good news. Don't you remember Bring Back Our Girls? Michelle Obama did it, and Boko Haram went to a school and snatched up 200 and something girls. Let me look at this. April 2014, 276, I'm not saying this wrong, Chibok girls were abducted in the dead of the night from their dorms by Boko Haram militants. There was 82 girls who were recently united with their families. And people are so happy. And how they got reunited, the girls were it was negotiated that Boko Haram would release a certain amount of girls with the help of Switzerland and other countries and I think the UN or some humanitarian effort to try to get Boko Haram to let go. So I think they traded some Boko Haram folk for some of the girls. So that's exciting. I don't know how close they are getting, disbanding Boko Haram or doing what they're doing with them. But at least 82 girls are back home with their families, y'all. Here's the tea. In France, let me get my thing out to read this properly too, because I don't want to do it wrong. So in France, in this area of France.
I took Spanish, you know what I'm saying? I live close to Mexico. There's no reason for me to take any French.
In France, there was a young Black male who was stopped and frisked. I guess stop and frisk is a thing that happens there, like it happened in New York City. How it was a policy? It's a policy in a certain area of France, and basically a policy in a poorer urban area in France. And the police mainly harass immigrants and Black kids, and they do a stop and frisk. But this stop and frisk turned violent. The police officers used their baton to attack a young boy. They beat him up with the baton. And they also used their baton to attack his genitalia, and it's being called baton rape. They actually violated him with the baton, And the boy is, I mean, just everyone is so distraught over this. And his sister was speaking to reporters and saying that the police in that area treat them like rats. Like, they treat them however they want to treat them. There is no respect. And the brother is now, they damaged his internal intestines so much that he has to use a bag to use the restroom. It makes me so upset, and there's nothing I can do at all. We all know in America, black bodies like don't mean anything, but you don't think about it, at least I don't think about it happening in other countries, because I always think of other countries, especially European countries, as being a little better than America when it comes to social justice issues. But I guess I am absolutely wrong. In France, that shit is egregious. To be beaten up and raped by police officers, and then the police officers have just been suspended and they're denying everything. So that's it for this episode of Morning Tea, you guys. I'm sorry to leave it on such a morose note. All right, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or would like to join the conversation, please leave a comment down below. And thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day. Bye.